I am Sharon Rivet, and I have been a Waldenstrom's patient since 2018. And have had one round of treatment, and I'm back on active monitoring. So for those that maybe we're not on yet, I just invite you to really assess where you are today in this practice and do whatever you need to do to make yourself comfortable. Even sometimes if it's just sitting there and listening to the words or listening to your breath, it's all part of the practice. And it's the time of year here in the Northeast. I know there's people from other countries, Amy from Israel, and probably I know Mary's in the South, but here I'm in Albany, New York. We are going through autumn, so we're going through that time of year when the trees are starting to change. Everything around us is changing. It's actually really quite warm here still, but the nights are beginning to cool down. And I always look at autumn as a time of transition. We're beginning to transition here in the Northeast to that snowy, cold time. But it's also a time, any season change, that you might hear the phrase, it's time to let go. And I always thought to myself, well, what does that mean, let go? You can't just let go of things, they don't go away forever. But what I've learned through my yoga practice, and I've been practicing probably close to 35 years, is that it doesn't mean that we let it go because, again, I'll go back to, I'm still going to have my hip pain here and there and my back pain. I still might get angry here and there. So it's not letting it go, but it's really bringing ourselves to our present moment. So when we're in our present moment, we aren't dwelling in our head about our pain or anger or emotions. So today, kind of think about letting go. What is it that you might want to let go of? And as we start our practice, let's bring our hands to heart center. And we'll actually take a moment for us to think about what it is we want to let go, knowing that letting go often means bringing ourselves to this practice. So if you'd like to close your eyes or soften your eyes, take a few moments to come to our practice. And coming to our practice, we become aware of the space that we're in. Perhaps you're hearing sounds around you, inside your home, outside your home. And then we become aware of the temperature in the room. How does it feel? Are you noticing warmth, or perhaps you're cool? And then little by little, gradually bringing our awareness to our breath. No need to change anything. Just notice how you're breathing. Is your breath shallow? Maybe you were rushing to get here. Or perhaps you've been here long enough that you're starting to come into rhythm with your breath. Just noticing. Awareness helps us with transitions, with letting go. And now I always like to take a quick scan of my physical being to assess where I am today. Is there any place that I need to show compassion to? Do I have any tightness? Or could be just the opposite. Do I want to maybe challenge myself? I feel strong today. Each of us is different, and it doesn't matter where you are. It's bringing yourself to awareness. Now, as we come to this awareness, let's bring our attention back to our breath, and we'll come into some deep belly breathing. So beginning to take a full inhale, feeling your belly and ribs and chest expand. And exhale, feeling yourself soften. Inhale, expanding, expanding. And on this exhale, let's go the sigh. Softening. Inhale, expanding belly, ribs, chest. Exhale. We'll come into one more deep belly, ribs, chest, and letting it all go. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. And then if you want to open your eyes, we'll come into some movement just to get us started here. So extending your hands out, making light fists. Let's just circle our wrists. So I know many of us are on our phones or iPads and going in the opposite direction, so our wrists might get stiff. And then you can come to stillness here, and we're going to start with our right hand just gently pulling back. And then gently pressing down. And then we'll come over to the left hand again, gently pulling back. Gently pressing down. And then you can just shake it all out. Yeah, it always feels good. And then, so we're going to bring our arms to our shoulders. This might not be everyone moving your shoulders. If not, you can just hug yourself and do some shoulder rolls forward. So you can bring them. We're just going to do some shoulder rolls here. And as we often forget, remembering to breathe. So we want to bring our movement and our breath together. Inhaling and exhaling. And then reversing, going backwards. You might hear some crackling. And then gently releasing. And again, you can just shake everything out. So one of the first things that we'll come to is one of the energy exercises. Again, if you were at the Reiki session earlier this year, this is one that I shared with everyone. And it's very simple. So Reiki is really just practicing moving your energy around. And it's really no different than if you were doing Tai Chi, going for acupressure. It's just moving the energy in our body. So we're going to do this exercise and do it seated. So I'll move back a little here. And we're bringing your hands down and sweep up towards the sky. If you can't go all the way up, just go as far as you can with palms facing up. And just imagine the universal energy, the energy that's all around us. We're made of energy. Every object is made of energy. It's just pouring into your hands. And turn your palms down. You're going to bring it over your head, over your face, through heart center, down to your legs, and imagine it going all the way down to your feet. And we'll come through that again, palms up towards the sky, reaching, taking a few moments to visualize all the energy floating around, all this positive energy. Turning palms down to bring this positive energy within. And as we think about letting go, you can imagine as this energy flows through us, if there's anything to be released, you can release it right out through your feet into Mother Earth. We'll do that one more time, sweeping all the way up. I like to imagine this energy as bright, glowing, sizzling light into the palms, throughout your whole being, breathing and releasing. Just take a moment to notice if you feel any energy floating through. You may or you may not. And you can open your eyes and we can begin our yoga practice. So I know many of us will be sitting in the chair the entire time. Some of us might be using the chair for support and some might be standing. So I'll try to show each of the standing poses that we'll be doing of how to use each of the ways that I mentioned. Now let's start with, again, sweeping our arms up as high as you can to the sky. Reaching. And then as you exhale, twisting over to the left. So bringing your right palm down to your left leg and twisting. And then we'll inhale back to the center and exhale to the opposite side. We'll go through this a few more times just to loosen up our spines. As I said, it's still warm here in the Northeast, but it is getting chilly at night, and notice I get a little bit more stiff as it becomes chilly. This time when we go through, inhaling, exhaling over to the left, I have a hold here. And as you take your next inhale, imagine that your crown of your head is going up towards the sky, and as you exhale, twisting at the waist. So our twist comes from our waist. Inhale, extending. Exhale, twisting. Again, everyone's going to be at a different place. And then we'll slowly release to the other side, reaching all the way up. And now we'll exhale to the right. And using your breath to extend and twist. Inhaling, extending, exhale, twisting. And sweeping up, back towards the center. Just reach side to side here. Reaching and stretching. So I like to think of it at this time of year as apple picking apples off the trees. And reaching. And the next time your right hand goes up, you can interlace your fingers and sweep them up to the sky, palms up. And then slowly letting them float all the way back down. With your hands still interlaced, sweeping up. And then letting your left hand come down as you arch over to the left, getting that beautiful side bend. And then back to center. Right arm comes down, sweeping over. Inhaling back to center, hands floating back through heart center. And bringing your hands down to your thighs to come into a seated cat-cow. So on the inhale, imagine your chest is opening, heart is opening. And as you exhale, curling into that cat. Inhale, opening. Exhale, curling. And then go back and forth a few times on your own. As if you want to bring it with your breath. We're all going to be a little different here in our pace. Breathing. And then the next time you come back through cat, coming back up to neutral, just sitting and taking it all in. We'll get a little movement in our legs, so let's extend our left leg out and do some bend and straighten. Bend and straighten at the knee. And the next time that leg comes out straight, do some ankle rolls side to side. And go in both directions. And you can release that, and then we'll bring up the opposite leg and bend and straighten. Just feeling the extension. Next time your leg comes up, coming back into those circles. And opposite direction. And slowly releasing. Let's come into some seated circles here. And breathing. So as our feet press into the ground or your mat, opposite direction. I always like to think of when we think of letting go, that you can just release it right to the earth. Come right out of your feet down into the earth. And then coming back to stillness. We'll come into a half sun salutation. So bringing your palms up to the sky. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, folding forward if it's comfortable. So you can come all the way down, or you can just bring your hands to your thighs, whatever is the most comfortable for you. Hands to your thighs for a nice straight back or just below your knees. Then sweeping all the way up. Once again, bringing hands to heart center. Inhale, sweeping up. Folding forward, finding your forward fold. And release. Coming up with a nice straight back, wherever that might be for you. Then sweeping all the way up. Bringing hands at heart center. So you can stay with the sun salutation, or we'll come into another variation. So let's inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, folding forward. As you come up, taking your left leg and bringing it all the way up, bending at the knee. Exhale, releasing. Inhale, sweeping up. And then folding forward. Taking your right knee, bringing it all the way up, bending. And releasing as you sweep all the way up. We'll do that again, and I can show another variation on that for anyone that wants to practice it. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, folding forward. If you can't bring your knee all the way up, just lift your foot up off the ground, sweeping up. And hands at heart center will come to the opposite side. Inhale, reaching towards the sky. Exhale, reaching towards the earth. Lifting your right leg up and bringing hands at heart center. Taking an inhale and exhale. You can let that go of the sigh again if you'd like. Inhale. That's one of the ways to move energy. Simple way, especially if we want to become present and aware, is just taking that inhale and letting it go with a soft sigh. So we'll actually come into chair pose next. So this is one that I can show a couple ways to do this. Chair pose can be done at seated. So it's inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, imagine your bottom is going back and your heart is reaching up towards the sky. Hands can be forward if that's comfortable, or at heart center. You can choose wherever it's most comfortable for you. And then bringing hands to heart center, coming back up to seated. Can also do it standing. So inhale, sweeping up. I'll turn to the side. Exhale, bottom going back. Arms can be extended or at heart center. And in this version, you can also be holding your chair with one palm at your heart center or both palms on the chair. So we'll do that a couple of times. You can choose how you would like to practice it. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, pressing back, bottom coming back, heart is open towards the sky. Breathing. Then reaching back up. And bringing hands to heart center. We'll do that again. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, pressing back. Holding. If you're standing, notice if you're starting to arch your back and bring your tailbone down towards the floor just slightly. Then bringing hands to heart center, standing up. We'll come into a twist in chair. So if you're seated, we'll inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, hands at heart center. Chest is open as you twist towards the left. Coming back to center, twisting to the right. Back to center, sweeping all the way up, hands at heart center. We'll come and do that again for if you're standing. I'll face you this time. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, floating into your chair. Twisting over towards the left. Back to center. Twisting to the right. Back to center. sweeping all the way up. Seated or standing, reach high to the sky. Imagine that energy, that light is once again pouring through your entire being. Then gather it up, bringing hands to heart center. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale, bringing that mind and breath together. So again, I know this, some people practice standing, some seated. We're going to come into warrior two. So if you're seated, I'm bringing my left leg out and my right leg back for warrior two. So having hip issues or back issues, this might not be something that feels very good, especially on a chair. You can always just bring your feet together and we'll do the motion from the waist up. So you can still get those benefits. For those that are standing, left foot comes out, right foot behind, your heel intersects the back arch, and you bend your knee, or you can hold on to the chair. So we'll come into that together so you kind of know which way you're practicing. Let's just take a breath here before we begin. Now coming into your warrior two, bringing out your left foot. Right foot becomes your back foot. Left knee is bent. We're going to extend our arms out. Shoulders nice and soft on your back. And your gaze can be out over your left fingers. Warrior is a strong standing posture. Building strength. Breathing. Take an inhale. Exhale, bringing your hands to your heart center. Turning your toes towards me, whether you're seated or standing. We're going to come into goddess or God pose. And to come into that, you're just going to turn your toes out. Standing, you bend your knees. Tailbone is pressed down. Seated. Legs are out. We're all going to inhale, sweep up, and then bring your arms down like a cactus or a gold pose. If you can lightly start to bring your shoulder blades together so your heart is open. Breathing here. Once again, finding strength and stability. And then we'll slowly release, bringing hands to heart center. If you're standing, straighten your legs. And we'll come to the opposite side with our warrior two. So those who are standing, your right toes come out. Left leg is behind, knee is bent with extension. Same thing if you're seated, or once again, if this is too difficult on the chair, just bring your legs together, twist at the waist, and extend. Gazing out over those fingertips. Energy floating through. Inhale. Exhale, hands to heart center. Standing or seated, we'll come back to not the goddess pose. This time you want your toes just slightly turned out. We're going to bring our hands to our waist, or thighs. So if you're standing, thighs, just going to bring your left shoulder down, back to center, right shoulder down. Same thing with seated. Inhale, left shoulder down, back to center, right shoulder down. And let yourself just flow here back and forth. Nice stretch in your back. Breathing. And the next time you flow through center, come all the way back up to seated, sweeping your arms up, and then coming down to heart center, called Anjali Mudra. And breathe. Once again, whether you're standing or you're sitting, let's take a moment to check in with yourself. See how you're feeling. And then we'll release. We're going to come into a balancing pose. So again, everyone's going to be at a different place with this. We're coming into tree pose, Vrikshasana. I'll show a couple variations on this one. So seated, you can bring your left heel, it's almost like a kickstand, just above your right heel. And that's a seated tree pose. You can sweep your arms up if you'd like. Imagining you're the branches of a tree. Standing. So here's where you'll see that I modify. I can show on one side well, the other side my hip is not going to have it. So you can press into, for me, it's my left foot. Bring my right foot up, pressing into my calf. So that's a true balancing pose. You can do that standing. You can use the chair. Chair is always nice. Or I like to go up against the wall because you can play with your balance that way. Or you can kickstand, just like we did in the chair. Just bring your heel up past the ankle. And just like a tree, you might be flowing in the wind, and that's okay. I always tell my yoga classes, make sure you have energy to come out of the pose. So let yourself come out if you feel like, okay, I've wobbled way too long. And take a breath. And then we'll come in on the opposite side. So this is the side that I'm personally having trouble with. So I'll be kickstanding here. So pressing into your right foot. Knee comes up and turns out. And just come into your version. Breathing, just explore what's going on. Like I said, we tend to sway in this pose no matter whether it's seated, standing. And then once again, let yourself release so you have enough to come out. And if you're standing or seated, we'll come into those circles again, some hip circles, just to release everything out. So pretend like you're using a hula hoop here, feeling the stretch. And then going in the opposite direction. Breathing. And then we'll come back to neutral and back on down to our chairs. And come into some pull down before we come into Savasana. So let's start with just being seated and coming into some pelvic tilt. So imagine we're not doing a full cat cow, we're just tilting our pelvis up. So your tailbone, imagine it coming up towards your heart center and then back towards your back. So standing, it's really just back and forth. And everyone's kind of feel where you might have any tightness in your lower back. Just be gentle, thoughtful, breathing. And release. And then we'll come into figure four. So bringing up your right leg across just above your knee. You want to keep that foot lightly flexed so that you don't hurt your right knee. And take an inhale. You can gently place your hand just above your knee and your inner thigh if you need more of a stretch to press, or you can take an inhale and fold forward. That will give you the maximum stretch in that hip. So see where you are. Breathe in. And gently pressing back up. And extend the leg and just let your foot twist side to side. That way you'll get your whole leg, your hip joint there. And release. And then the same thing, we'll bring up the opposite side, gently flex your foot and either press, not on your knee, but on your inner thigh, or you can do that fold forward. Remembering to breathe here. And then slowly pressing all the way back up. And take any other little movements that are going to help you for Shavasana. So I'm not sure if people are practicing in their chairs or if you're coming down. But before we do anything, another energy exercise, which I think is just great because you can use it anywhere. Well, you can use it anywhere, mostly in your house. You probably won't want to do it in a store. But it's just called shaking the bones. And it gets your energy going. And if you need to bring yourself back to the present moment, which we talked about is, one of the ways to let go of things. This is one way to bring you back really quick. And it's literally just shaking the bones. Standing and just start shaking everything. So maybe your arms aren't going to be able to shake, but just shake, let your head shake. This is great. I'm teaching kids Halloween yoga. They're going to get an energy exercise and they don't even know it because they're going to be skeletons. So imagine you're a skeleton. And shake, shake, shake. And then slowly let yourself come to stillness, gazing down at the floor or closing your eyes, letting your attention come back to your breath, your body, this present moment. And we'll release and come into Savasana. So I think most of you have found your way of having comfort in this pose, whether you need a blanket, whatever you might need. Find your place in Shavasana. And as you begin to come to stillness, let your attention come back to your breath. Inhaling and exhaling. And you can close or soften your eyes. I'll just do a mini meditation here, and we'll have a few moments of quiet. So we'll come into a short rotation of consciousness, and all you have to do is just let your attention go to whichever body part I mentioned, nothing to move or change, just notice. Moving your mind. Bring your attention to your feet. And legs. Hips. And noticing your whole spine. The lower back, middle back, upper back. And taking a deep inhale and letting everything soften. And seeing in your mind's eye your hands and arms and both shoulders, your neck and face, your whole head. The right side of your body, the left side of your body, the back of your body, the front of your body, your whole body. Preparing to release and surrender in Shavasana until the chime. Letting yourself gently make your way back into the space around you. Once again, becoming aware of the sounds, the temperature, the light. Making small movements with your fingers and toes. And bringing hands to heart center. Bowing your chin towards heart center. Remembering what it is that you wanted to let go of at the start of our practice. And knowing that what we learn on our mat, breath, focus, awareness, we bring with us off the mat to help us in those times when we feel as if we need to let go. And Steve Maraboli says, letting go isn't about having the courage to release the past. It's about the wisdom to embrace the present. And so raising our heads, we'll end this practice. Namaste, the light in the teacher in me honors the light in the teacher in you. Namaste, and thank you so much.